Hey, at this time, we're going to go ahead and open up. We like to say thank everyone for coming on today to the Journey to Justice Backbinding Tour with Dr. Robert Bullard. Y'all come on, let's give him a hand. And we thank God for him taking on his busy schedule because he is busy. He's all over this world, man. On the tour of finding and journey to justice, he's doing that, and so we just thank God that he came our way. So at this time, we're going to have prayer by Brother Herbie, and then we're going to have a welcome. Okay, Pastor Susan Starks. Okay, we can have the prayer. We want him to welcome us and everything. He said, come on. Come on, this is his house. Amen. Yeah, come on, let's give Brother Herbie a hand.
I had to make sure it was all right. If we could stand, please, pray. Father, we thank you right now, God. Thank you for all that you're doing. The things that we can't do, you can do, God. You can make sure that it's done right, God. Yes. And we thank you right now for your grace and your mercy right now, God, that you have extended to us. We're looking for a beautiful outcome to a very messy situation, God. We know that it's just right for you. You work in chaos and bring out miracles. Yes. In the name of Jesus. We ask you to bless the people that's involved, give them the strength, God, and the know-how and willpower to bring this to pass, God. We ask you to bless the angel of this house and establish him as a great man of God. We thank you for Elder Williams and his family. They have persisted, God, in vigilance to make sure that justice is done for the wrongdoing by the parties involved. We give you all the glory and praise. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. You're in the hands of Superintendent Starks. Y'all come on, let's give him a hand as he comes forward.
We just want to welcome you to our church. We thank God for Dr. Bullard. We thank God for you, the citizens of Shiloh. We want you to know that you're always welcome to come. You always have a place that we can gather as a community body. Also, everywhere I go, I want you to know that I always lift up Shiloh. Everywhere I go, I let people know that Shiloh is the capital of Coffee County. All right. And so we're just so grateful that Dr. Bullard had an opportunity to come back home along with his team. We welcome you. We thank you so much for coming to the call. Thank God for you, the community, who have came together as a collective body. No one is more important than the other. All of us need each other. And so we are so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule to come. And also Dr. Bullard to hear the cry. When the children of Israel was in bondage, they cried out to the Lord, and the Lord sent Moses. And he told Moses to let the people know that he heard they cry. And anytime you are in a predicament where you can't help yourself, God always have someone that will come along and give us a hand. So we thank God for Dr. Bullard and his staff. And again, we say, well, God bless you.
God for Starks, amen, for opening the doors for us, giving us, somewhere to come that's comfortable and cool, because it has been hot for the past 2 days. Amen. Even on yesterday, how the storm came through, and man, I tell you, it was rough, but we made it. So once again, we'd like to say thank you, community, for coming to the Journey to Justice Backbinding Tour. So at this time, we're going to be in the hands of Dr. Robert Bullard. Y'all come on, let's give him a hand clap.
Thank you very much. And I want to just say it's it's really good to be back home, but it's really heartbreaking to see what is happening to this community and the extent to which help has not come quickly and fast enough. I am humbled by the presence of the community leaders and folks who are really serious about getting justice. I am a sociologist by training. I'm an environmental sociologist, and I am an environmentalist. But most of all, I am the offsprings of fighters, warriors, my mother and father, Nehemiah and Bergbook, birthed me, taught me not to take anything for granted, but to stand up and fight and try to do right and try to help those who need help whenever you can help. So to the past superintendent, friends, I'd like to introduce my team from the Bullitt Center for Environmental and Climate Justice at Texas Southern University. I have a center named after me. Didn't ask for that, but it came. And when something lands in your lap, an opportunity, you take advantage of it.
Amen.
My father was named Nehemiah. Nehemiah is a strong name. It's a strong name. So first is Dr. Glenn Johnson, who is from Memphis, Tennessee. This young man, I knew him when he was a student. He was my graduate research assistant at University of Tennessee. Got his PhD. When he finished, he said, Dr. Bullitt, I want to work with you. He helped me write a book. He was my research assistant to write a book called Dumping in Dixie, Race, Class, and Environmental Equality. That was the first book written in 1990 on environmental racism. So he's my colleague. We've written 5 books together. And we work together as colleagues. Next to me is Angel Torres. Angel hails from Bayamon, Puerto Rico. He went to Clark Atlanta University, my alma mater, also graduated from Atlanta University. Received his master's degree in urban planning from Georgia Tech University, and he started working with me, both of them, in 1995 and 1995. Now he's still in Atlanta, and I'm in Houston, but we work together when the need arises. The 3 of us wrote this book. It's called Highway Robbery. And we wrote this book, but the days that we were here, 2 days we here, we see highway robbery. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Highway robbery, transportation, racism, new routes to equity. So Angel, as I said, Angel and Glenn, we worked together the longest. But the young man in the back, stand up, Stephen. He was Dr. Johnson and my graduate student, master's degree in urban planning. He was working at Metro in Houston, and we enticed him to come back to Texas Southern. Now he's our community engagement director. And if you work for me, you gotta be able to do more than one job. He knows how to film and all that stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So this is our team. And we have people. Stop. We have people in Houston right now at Texas Southern University working with us as we gather this information, as we take and document what's happening on the ground, the flooding that happened yesterday, we saw it and we filmed it and we sent it out through social media. We had interviews with people, with residents, homeowners. The interviews are taken and made into using social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Young people, you know what I'm talking about. Old people like me, I do it too. But the world is seeing what's going on. And we have to make the world see and understand what's happening here is an injustice that needs to be corrected quickly. So that's the team that we work. So we have people working at the universities right now, my university, working right now. And I want to say Texas Southern University was my first job out of graduate school. It gave me my start in 1976. So I owe that university something. And everything that I do in terms of our right or speaking or whatever, it has the university's name on it. And I've tried, all of us have tried to bring good notoriety. Because when you do something and something happens that's bad, it makes the press. We have to make the press in terms of the good that we're going to do. So that's the team. That's our team. What we would like to do in terms of this fact-finding tour, this meeting. This is your meeting. We're here to listen and to take notes and to learn, observe. Yesterday we got tours. We had a press briefing. We did some tours today to see for ourselves and document what the videos. I've seen lots of videos that Pastor Wisdom sent us. But the fact is, there's nothing like being here. You can watch TV, you can watch a movie. It's not the same when you're walking the streets and walking in yards and walking on that highway and going across and coming back and seeing which way the water runs. And it looks like the water is running downhill on you. So we're to take the notes. So when you have the chance to come up and present, there's no format in terms of what you gotta say or whatever. You just tell us what is happening to you. And the way that I would hope it would work is that you would just give your name and your address and how long you've lived here and what are your major concerns right now in terms of this highway? What are the major issues as it relates to how it's changed your life? What was it like in Shiloh before this 4-lane highway was built? If you can remember, I know it wasn't that long ago, but what was it like? Just tell from your heart, what was it like and what is it like now in terms of the conditions that you may be living under? You understand? So as we, you line up or get into the names as you want to come up, we will take. We'd like for you to stand at the podium if you, so that we're taping this, and we have live stream for individuals who through Zoom who may not be able to be here. They can also give testimony online. That's the laptop sitting in the middle. So so again, we'd like to start, and I'll have the mic go over to the podium. Right?
Yes, sir. Okay. Anybody? You're welcome. I know we already have sent our statements in, and I know that Willie, me, and Andrews, we've already did our statement. We did Zoom. Anybody else would like to come and tell? Because this is the time that you speak up and let the doctor know what's going on so that he can fight for you and help you. And he's seen a lot of things that happen. I mean, man, God is so awesome. So God allowed the bottoms to fall out on us, so that they could actually see the route of the water. And I've been saying for a long time, they forced this on us. Well, just a couple of weeks ago, and some of y'all heard the testimony, and I told you that that the state was saying that I caused it. And it bothered me because they've been after me. They want your property. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They want your property. They want to take you out. They want to destroy you. But if you stand up, they can't take it. You know what I'm saying? And what they're trying to do is cause us to take down and just give up and run just because of the pressure. I can't take this no more. They're going to take your property and they don't want to give you anything. That's what they're trying to do, but it's not going to work. But if we stand together, we fight, that's how you get help. Just for instance, we lost a daughter, but in her process of her dying, she was fighting for her life. Monica was in the back doing CPR on Destiny. We got to the emergency room. They said, we're going to have to put her on life support. And this is my testimony, is that they put her on life support, but little Destiny fought until they had to take life support off of her. And when she fought, they took life support off. They said she can't stay here at this hospital, which is the Enterprise Medical Center. They said, you got to get her out of here because she done beat life support. We went to Dothan to Flowers Hospital, and when we got there, she was breathing on her own, and she was sitting there, and she was just laying there, she was breathing. But make a long story short, she kept fighting for her life. She kept fighting. She kept fighting. She didn't want to die. You know what I'm saying? And 2 days later, Destiny passed. And I asked the question, I said, God, what was that for? He said, it was to let you know that even in your walk with me, you're going to have to fight. Mm-hmm. Things are not going to come easy, but you're going to have to fight for it. And that's what we got out of it. Everything that we've been through, we had to fight for it. I am the Coffee County legal redress for the legal redress person for the Coffee County branch. And that's one of the things I've been doing. I've been fighting for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I've been going and helping them get attorneys and everything. And when it hit my house, you know what I'm saying? I had to stand up. That's what I did, you all. I stood up. You know what I'm saying? I started making phone calls. No mean yes to me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't taking this because I know there's something better. We don't have to live like this and let them destroy our home, because I don't know about you, but I paid a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? That's why I take this to heart. I'm not a lot of money. Even with the restaurant, I was paid over $90,000. It cost me $45,000 just to clear the thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they were saying, because I put that restaurant there. You know what I'm saying? They said he did clear cut. It didn't affect the state. You know what I'm saying? It was nothing the state did. They don't own my property. I can do what I want to do with my property. And so, but make a long story short, they coming up with all these excuses. And on our fact finding, we begin to show them that this is not a historical flood area. The state is saying that right now. This is a historical flooding area. We have documents on that. And Dr. Bullock has it. This is not a flooding area. This is not a historical. But because it's his Elba, they begin to put it because they don't want to come down and help us. But if you're going to get help, you're going to have to speak up. You're going to have to tell your situation. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Dr. Bullock is here for. He could have been somewhere else, but he said, I got to come back and take care of my people. And that's what he told me. He promised. And today he's sitting right before us, and he's going to help us. He is the father of environmental justice. You know what I'm saying? He's been all over the world, working with different ones, working with Pete Buttigieg. I mean, we have God know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's a God thing. I tell everybody it's a God thing. You know what I'm saying? And we need to take advantage of it. So the floor is open to anyone who would like to come and, tell your situation.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Yes. My name is Leandro Flowers. to. And I've been staying here since I was 6 years old. And I noticed that, once the storm got coming up, they built this highway. I looked out my window and I'm like, where in the world is all this water coming? And I just decided to walk out my back door. When I opened my back door, it like scared me to death. It looked like P River like this.
Oh.
And I'm like, where is all this water coming from? I'm talking about it was coming around my shed, all my chicken hen. And I said, I just don't understand where all this water's coming from. So it got to be coming from what they did when they built this highway. Because we has never had no flood in our getting shower. I never seen anything like it. And it got to be coming from that new highway. So it got to be something done. Somebody need to do something about it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Do you have flood insurance?
No, sir.
Have anybody ever asked, needed flood insurance?
No. Because we is not in no flood zone. The flood zone is downtown here.
That's right. Yes.
No, we do not have no flood insurance. Hey, as it's going right now, we're gonna need it.
So what have you done to try and get some redress, to get things made better?
Well, I really haven't talked to anybody, but me and Pastor William were talking, and we've been trying to get somebody to come and help us. See, because Pastor William, like he said, he spent a lot of money over on his property. And I just don't know. I mean, I don't know.
So has it made you feel different about your property?
Yes, sir. Really
Different
have.
about the community?
Yes. I mean, because like if we don't get it done to this problem, I mean, it's gonna really, like I said, it's gonna wash everything away. And down, like where all this water is going, down behind my house, like in my garden, it's a flood my septic tank. And it's going down behind Mr. Pittman's house, now Mr. Horsley's house, washing his house all the way. And then crossing the road, going out in the ditch, washing it out. Next thing you know, it's gonna be all the whole community.
Your home is on a septic system?
Yes. Yes, sir. I got
You've had
something.
backups?
Yes. And I didn't have it with all this water get running away too. Never had any problem. And like I said, if keep running like that day, it's gonna take about watch the foundation of the underline. So just something really need to be done about it.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. And we saw all of that when we came to your house. We came by your house today. We saw what you was talking about. So thank you. Anybody else? That would like to come forward? Just to reiterate, we talked about the gas line. God forbid if my house is leaking. God forbid if the house hit the tank, hit the gas line. And this is real. And if it hit the gas, if it going the rate that it's going, it's already leaning. I didn't even know it until the insurance man came by and told me. He came to pick up some money from me on Saturday, and then he told me, he said, Pastor Williams, I don't mean no harm, but I've been talking to the man, telling him. He says, but when I pulled up, I looked at the corners of your house. I looked at your house. He said, where your carport is, from the point of the house into the back of the house, you can see a leak. It's going downhill, down the slope. You look at the pictures, you can tell it. Now it's headed to that gas line, and it ain't but like 9 feet away from the house. So if it hit that gas line, that whole community is gone. So that's why I'm telling y'all, we need to speak up right now, because we don't ever know. We don't know. Phyllis came by. Well, she didn't come by me, but she was with Sister Miriam. And she told Sister Miriam that Alabama, which is Coffee County, is known for sinkholes. Just right up in New Brockton at Memorial Church over there by the Langstons over there, all of that is a sinkhole. The feds came to try to fix it, but they couldn't fix it because, somebody didn't want it fixed. So what I'm telling you today is time to speak up while you can. Because we're in a situation, y'all, that we don't know when something's gonna happen major. I'm just telling you, this is real talk. God forbid. That's what bothered my spirit. I'm telling you. It prompted me to move. I said, I can't sit down, I can't be quiet. I refuse to be quiet. You know what I'm saying? I've been working behind the scenes, making phone calls. That's how ABC News got here. I kept talking to them, kept calling. And then when I told them, I said, Dr. Robert Bullock, Father of Environmental Justice, is coming. Man, listen, ABC News, Jared and all of them, they got on board. Because of Dr. Bullock's history, his experience, they know his work. Everybody I talk to, they say, I know his work. This man is credible, and not only that, he's an expert, and if he has to testify, he can testify to what he has seen and what we are going through. So God has blessed us. He's a native from Elba. He's from here, born and raised in Elba. And he heard the cry, and he came to take care of his people. And that's a blessing all by itself. It's a God thing. So we thank God for it. Anybody else?
My name is Barbara Truitt. I was a horse dad. We moved over here in 74, 75 in Charlotte. And my mom and daddy bought the land over here. And the flooding stuff, we never had it. We never had it like that. And it seemed like since they put the road, the new road down, it was a railroad track that came down through here. And the water wasn't running down and flooding the houses and things before then. Now, you can ride, go out at the Foxley Road, go to Enterprise in New Brockton, you're gonna see, when it rains, you're gonna see all that water down there in Mr. Flowers' mill yard and Timmy's yard, and a lot of another house down. And if God forbid, well, if my mama was still alive and our house was still there, it would have been flooded too. But my brother Willie, he lives on the lot that we own. And it's like our property for the 13 kids, and we don't want to see it washed away. And it's families that have lived down here in Shiloh for a very long time. And they own land and everything. It's just ridiculous that they can't get help to stop the flooding that's going on. Because people is losing money. When that water comes through their garage, water comes into their house, they probably gonna have to get carpet, new carpet, everything. Then you got to get somebody to come out and clean your septic tank out. That costs money. And I know Timmy when he just had that fix down there, it came a big flood. And I seen it. And I said, this is ridiculous. They just got through fixing this. And now look over there. It's water all out there. You couldn't go over in his yard. And I know Mr. Flowers now, they having the same problem. Cause Timmy's houses and his businesses, their house was right behind that. And that water is washing everything away. We love our community. We all have grown up and was raised here. So let's do something about this. It don't make no sense. Something got to be done.
You said the property was their property and it's
Yes,
been in your family for generations?
it's been our family since my mom and dad bought it. It was in 70 something. And we didn't have no problem like that. My dad was in the military, just like my brother Willie, he was in the military. And I have a brother, but he's in Washington now. And mom and dad raised us kids up there on that place. And so, yeah, it rained, but it was nowhere like it is now. Because I say, when they removed the railroad track, put this road down through there, that was all of that started at. And if it rains anymore today, you'll get a chance to see some more what's going on down here. And it's just not across the track, it's over this way too. So it's just ridiculous.
So before the road, you said there was a railroad track that ran.
Yes.
And was it elevated or was it pretty much flat in terms of point?
It was the railroad track. It was as if on either side, it was up. The sides of it was up. The railroad track came in between there, and that water couldn't come out. But track's gone, water's coming. And I feel sorry for a lot of them that have, is living there. And it's dangerous with the water coming, with snakes and all. So we living, excuse me, in sheer hell.
Mm-hmm. You want to keep your property.
Oh yes, cause that's home to us. That is home. And so with Willie down there having to do what he had to do to try to keep his trailer above water, that's a big deal and expensive too.
That's right.
And so, and he helped.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mother. We see you right by there all the time. I said, there she goes. So, Miss Williams is on Zoom here. We know we can hear. Okay, we'll put the mic there. Hey, Mother, state your name and give how many years you've been staying your property, pretty much. How long you? Okay.
My name is Dolores Williams, and I've been a resident of Shiloh all my life. And the property I'm living on now, has been in my family since the 1800s.
Can you go?
Sir?
Can you go ahead and tell us about what you're experiencing?
Well, where the water is, once the water is coming in over the fields, it's just running. I do not have, I have a house on the upper end, but before it gets there, the land itself is washing. If you go there and it's several acres that's joining right there that I have. And once that water starts to run, it just keep going on down in the woods into the branches, and it's washing as it goes.
So the property that you have has been in your family all those years. Do you see this water now threatening that inheritance?
Yes, because before we had all this, before the highway was changed, we never had any washing. For the majority of those houses where Pastor Tim lives, that was used to be a cotton field. It was no washing there, none whatsoever.
She know it.
Did you did you ever pick any cotton?
You know it, Bobby.
Yeah. I know. Could you ever get 100 pounds a day?
Yes, finally.
So how do you feel about this water and flooding somehow threatening your property, threatening the fact that if you pass it down to your son, that somehow it's diminished?
Well, it is diminished, and I have 50 plus acres out there that's involved out there on that side of the road. And so it's anytime you're having a wash going through your property, you know that's not good. If it's flooding, that water's carrying everything with it. And I noticed here lately somebody's put a sewer or something in there. But that water, it's not stopping that water. The water, they're channeling the water a little bit. But before it comes down to that point, from that field in front of that old store place, they have got what, a couple of retention ponds out there. That field where they got those couple of retention ponds, that used to be my property.
Okay, we went by there.
But see, it's just not a good situation out there. Shallow, and then when they come through with the highway, it used to be you could go all the way through the road on loop on back up to the highway, but now they got a cul-de-sac. You got to go and turn around and come back out. They just made a complete mess, I think. I mean, they said that they did put maps out, but with the layperson like majority of us, we don't read that stuff. We don't really know what it's saying. And when eminent domain comes through, they're gonna take it anyway. What can you do? It's nothing left when the state come through and they said, hey, we want to buy this property of yours. It's no recourse for us. You may haggle. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was say in terms of your property, and you're holding on to that property. I've heard a number of residents say that it looks like there's an attempt to push you out of here. What's your feeling on what's happening in terms of the state's response to address this issue?
Well, I think it's a disgrace. I really do. I'm thinking they just did I don't know the specifics, but I think they just did what they could do to put the highway in and had no regard to what was left. Now, I do know this much. I think, if I'm correct, the first time they come through buying that property, I believe it was in 1999, I believe. That's right. The year could be wrong, but I think somewhere along in there. When they come through and say, hey, I need to buy this. And so that was sold. But once they came out there and started to work, and I'm not sure exactly when, but they had come back and they changed something from the original plan. Now, what the original plan and what they changed from, I don't know, because they come back to me and they wanted almost another half acre. Now, why that was, I don't know. But they got it. No recourse.
So do you think that, personally, do you think you have been treated fairly?
No, sir. Anytime somebody come along just take advantage of you because they can. No, and when you talk to somebody, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And what recourse do we have?
Do you think that your feeling that you've been treated unfairly has anything to do with that you are Black?
Well, frankly, now you know yourself that what happened to people look like me and you. And there's no difference in Shiloh.
I had to ask the question.
Okay, sir.
For the record. For the record. For the record, yes, for the record, thank you. And I tell people I've been Black most of my life.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
I've been Black all my life. And it's a fight every day.
Yes, yes.
But that's life.
Yeah, so the fact that you own this property, more than 50 acres or so, that places you in a unique position in terms of a Black person owning property. You know that, right? Because most Black people don't own an acre of land, let alone 50 acres. No mule 50 acres.
Amen.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess I'm fortunate in that manner.
Fortunate in that makes you may have to fight harder to keep those acres. Because it's together.
That it is.
A plot together, which means it's probably of value.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I just want to, just for the record, let it be known that when we are talking about Shiloh residents, in many cases, these are homeowners and landowners.
That's true.
And
That's true.
that this community is unique in many ways, in that ownership of land sets it apart from many places, even in the city of Elba, where some people don't own where they live.
Yes.
So this is a high ownership area.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Dr. Fuller, Ms. Williams, her land flows from 84 all the way down to 502. And this flooding have affected all the way to County Road 502, which runs on the back side of the road she was speaking of that they closed off.
Okay. Then we traveled that route. We traveled that route, and then we heard about not having access in terms of emergency vehicles and fire, whatever. That's another issue. I think if somebody could speak to that in terms of the safety issue or not having access, somebody needs to speak to it.
Well, indeed, I remember, I don't know what happened, but once the road got changed and a fire truck come along one night, and it was over on 502. The fire wasn't in Shiloh, but they had gotten lost some way, and they were stuck down there, and they had to back up out of there. And that's bad. You can't come all the way through 502, which is bad. And I probably go what would have been, I guess it would be south of there, probably about at least possibly maybe about a half a mile.
502, that's the county road?
Yes, sir. 502, yeah.
Oh, that's the cul-de-sac. Okay, yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Okay.
And I don't know why they changed it and wouldn't let the road come through, flow through but I guess that was the engineer's drawing. I don't know.
Okay.
But it just messed Shiloh up. We've been a neat little community there for a long time.
Did anybody
And-
consult, and when they was closing the road and doing it, did they consult the community?
Well, what they did, they said they had maps up at the highway department. It's a highway department up on 84 going toward the Enterprise. And they said they had maps up there that people could come and look at. But nobody specifically come and told us that, hey, we closed in 502 on this end. No, we weren't told that way.
There was no public hearing in the community, at a church or at,
Not at a church that I know of. I don't know of one, but I know they did say they had the maps up there. But
Yes.
nobody come and explain, say, hey, when this highway comes through, you no longer gonna have access to 502 going all the way through. Now, the county may have known what they were doing, but as a layperson out there, I personally didn't know, and I don't know if anybody else knew.
okay, we're gonna ask someone to come up. Thanks very much. You got anything else to say?
No, I hope we can get some help out there, and thank you for coming.
All right.
Thank you and your team.
Yes, thank you. Could we get, to speak to the fact that we're dealing with a highway, but we're also dealing with a road closure and the potential safety issue. That's probably, someone needs to speak to that, because that, if there's no way to get access and there's an emergency and people could die. The other thing, I think it was brought out that in terms of fire hydrants being pulled and not replaced. And yes, right, somebody, we need to get that on the record, so that we can speak to that in terms of, we're dealing with two situations, 84 and then the county road, not access and no water.
The fire.
Fire hydrant.
Building start. He's going to speak on the road.
Okay. The mic, wait a minute.
Basically, speak on the road.
So, yeah, because we got the cameras.
My name is James Starks. I pastor in the Glorious Church of God in Christ. My mom lived on County Road 502, along with her sister, Flora Morrison. My mother's name is Mary Starks. I went to a county commissioner meeting concerning the closing of 502. We had a fire, I guess, what, a year ago, maybe? 2 years ago, on the east end of 502, which is the only primary entrance to 502. And because of the closure of the west end of 502, then there is no access to people that may have property that they can get to. Even if it was another emergency that was taking place, there would be no way of emergency vehicles reaching the west end of 502. So I went to the county commissioner meeting along with Ms. Jones, and I expressed that to the county commissioners, and they said that that was out of their control. And I asked them, well, it is a county road, is it? For instance, Ms. Williams was saying that they put a pipe in, and they did put a pipe on 502 that closed off access to the west end. I couldn't get, as a matter of fact, me and my wife were taking supplies to my mother and my auntie, and we could not reach their home because of the blockage of that to the west end. And at that particular time, they had been there I know probably an hour or so, but then they told us it would be another 30 minutes, which was longer than that. And the county said that they had no authority to reopen the West End, that we can go to the state of Alabama. And I told them that they are our representatives to go to the state for us. It is a hazard. It is a safety issue because of not having access to the West End when there may be a problem. Anything could happen on the East End. As a matter of fact, when the fire was going, if it had not been for other landowners at that particular time allowing someone to try their best to maneuver through their yard to get to their property, they wouldn't have been able to get to their property. So it is a extreme safety issue. This community is, for its, the age, it is, I say mixed, but we have a lot of retired citizens here in Charlotte, especially on the West End. So it is extremely necessary that we have access to that part of 502. It has never been like that. I was raised in this community, and it's never been like that. Even the flooding has never been, even after the railroad was gone, there was no flooding until the highway came. And I know someone made mention of the railroad. When the railroad was gone, there still was no flooding until they elevated the highway. And that's when the flooding started. As a matter of fact, there was, even in the trains, there was no piping. Once the rain started flooding, there was no piping to direct it onto the retention pond. So the retention pond really is of no use to the citizens of Shiloh because none of the flooding or the rain is actually directed to the retention pond. So I said to the engineer that was there, and I said no disrespect, but if, because the engineer says in the west end of Shiloh, there was no way that, no angle that they can take to make sure that the road is reopened. And I said no disrespect to the engineer, but if an engineer can't design a way for the road, the 502, to connect the west end to 84, I said that person don't need a job. And so we have an extreme problem, a safety issue, especially when we're dealing with 502. And the flooding is actually affecting also my aunt house. She's bedridden, she couldn't be here today, but rain actually travels since the 4-lane came up under her house. So they had to try to dig a trench. Her son had someone to come in to try to prevent water from actually coming under her house. So we really need that west end. Yeah.
So when you had the conversation with the engineers, approximately what year was this?
Oh, this was it was about a month ago. It was right before, it was right after the Zoom call.
Oh, okay.
And at that particular time, I asked, did I need to go ahead and keep that appointment at the commissioners meeting? Because everything I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure it was,
Yes.
with you all, because I'm so glad that you were here. So I didn't want to do anything that may disrupt what we was doing. And so I must say, and I want to be accurate, the county commissioners, after I persist and I, wasn't going to take down, they said that if I would get a petition, that they will petition the state.
But I told them that that was a county road, and I said, I know you get federal funding.
Yes.
And, you know, and so, they county was surprised that came out, but, so we really need that access back. And we thank you, we're trusting that, something will be done. Also,
I had
Dr.
another question I could,
Okay.
do you feel that there has been foot dragging when it comes to correcting some of the engineering or the design of the Highway 84 and slow response in dealing with the safety issue with the county road?
Yes, sir, I do, pretty much so. I really believe that, as a matter of fact, if you go to the county is gonna direct you to the state. If you go to the state is gonna direct you back to the county. And that's what I said to the commissioners. I said, it's like the blame game, or it's, to where, you, get to one and one says, that that's not our responsibility, that's the county. The county says it's not our responsibility, it is the state. And there are some that have in here have already been to the state. And, again, we have it back and forth, so that way, they drag, like this flooding issue. This is something that should have been, taking place. We have a young lady, that went to the state 4 different times, and concerning those property. And they said that when the highway come through, it was not going to affect her property. This young lady was out of her house for right at 2 years, but she couldn't live in her house because of flooding and mud in her house. And so they have dragged their foot. The state will try to say, well, that's not their responsibility, it's homeowners insurance. And homeowners insurance will say, well, you know, do you have flood insurance? But it's not a flood area. Now, they try to use, Elba addresses, sir, Dr. Bullock, to say it is that is historically a flood area. That's not true. Shallow have never, I repeat, never been declared at any time a flood zone.
Could you repeat that?
I say shallow have never, at any time, have never been a zone as a flood zone. Yes, we have Elba addresses, but we are approximately 4.5 to 5 miles from the river. The river have never made it to the top of the hill in Elba, let alone making it to Shallow. Okay, so it have never, this is not a flood zone. We do not have a history of flooding. The flooding did not start until the highway came. It elevated the highway. Now all the water runs down into the Shallow community. And so we are seeking help, we're seeking justice. I really believe, Dr. Bullock, that if this would have been a white community, the problem would have been rectified many years ago. And so we thank you so much for you and your staff coming and to hear the cry and come alongside of us. See, can we get some justice?
Okay. I had a follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
The issue of that you raised in terms of the state using the fact that Shiloh residents have Elba addresses. Has that been challenged in terms of them saying that you're in a flood zone? Have you got something in writing or challenged them so that you can say, no, you got Elba addresses, but it's Elba, it's the city of Elba that floods.
I think probably the only document that the citizens will have will be their personal homeowner insurance.
Mhm.
The homeowner's insurance does not require you to have flood insurance because we are not in a flood zone. And so that document, because every insurance company, pretty much know the flood zones. And they would tell you, that, that you would have to have flood insurance, to be covered, in that particular zone. Well, none of the residents here, have to have flood insurance because it's not a flood zone.
Okay, now, last question. The fact that before the road, you're saying it was not a flood zone, but the fact that it floods now, does that place the homeowners at risk if they don't get flood insurance?
Absolutely.
I would say it put them at a risk because they are, the state is trying to say, that this is a historical flood zone, but that's not fact.
Yes.
So look like the only way that a family, could cover themselves if the state is saying that is. And really, as each of you homeowners know, that insurance is already expensive. Well, if you tack on flood insurance, it just put another financial burden in a community that's already financially challenged because of no industry here in Shallow. We really don't have.
Anything.
Well, I'm just gonna say it, Dr. Bullock. We really don't have no representation that's looking out for the welfare of the citizens of Shiloh. There is no political support for the citizens of Shiloh. When it comes to demand that something be done. And it's been over 5 years, 5.5 years, that the politicians, the county, the state, and the federal have dragged their feet in taking care of the problem of the citizens here at Charlotte. And I think all of us feel the pain for each other. And so we really need a rapid response to alleviate the damage to the property here in Shiloh. We have testimonies of people that own land for years and years, and they've never had this problem. Even the erosion is from 84 all the way down to 502 and across 502. The erosion effect because of the rain, and there have been nothing done by the county, the state, the federal to prevent the erosion and the loss of value to the property owners here, Charlotte.
So when the stretch of the highway that you just talked about, is this mostly black people, black owners, landowners, property owners?
I would say that all of it is black.
100%.
All of the landowners in the stretch that we are talking, speaking of now, is all black owners.
Are you aware of any flooding conditions or similar to what's in Shiloh occurring anywhere along this new recent US 84 expansion?
Yeah.
The
young
Wait, we want it on the. We can get anybody else to testify on it. We want it on the camera. You're not gonna get on the camera if you're in the
Now,
peanut gallery.
you're speaking of the stretch that we are speaking of now.
No, I'm talking about anywhere else along this highway, if there's any,
Of community.
conditions in experience, like flooding, like experienced in Shiloh, uh, along that stretch, outside of this stretch that you're talking about,
Not that we know
as you know.
of, not that we know of, that there, have been any damage like the citizens here in Charlotte.
Let me ask another. Do you know if there's been any corrective, measures, mitigation measures taken, in communities outside of Shiloh if there was a problem?
All the time.
Let me just put it another way. Do you know if any action's been taken, by the state to correct and mitigate along the stretch, in white areas?
I don't know of any. I have to be honest about that, and there's maybe somebody else that may, know of a
You can
case
tell
that
by
we
looking
had,
at it
but I can't think of a case to where,
because they
that
keep it
happened.
neat.
Okay.
But I do know the city of Elba, since the state brought up the city of Elba, the city of Elba is documented that had floods. The last flood, what they did was they brought in the Army Corps of Engineers to help them, as a matter of fact, to, build the levee so that, that didn't happen. So, you know, I know help is available if this county, if the state, if the federal will stop dragging their feet. There is help that can be given to the citizens of Shiloh, like it was the city of downtown Elba, where the Army Corps of Engineers came in and fixed the levee. And since they fixed the levee, we had water that really exceeded the flood level, but it did not flood because of the Army Corps of Engineers had came in and fixed the levee. That was a scare we had. Everybody was, you know, going down to see the water, even came up to the bridge, but because they helped the city of Elba, the levee held. And so that's the only thing that the citizens of Shiloh is asking for. Just be fair with us. That's right. You know, like we have done for the city of Elba. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Amen. Hey, you asked a question, Dr. Wood, was there anybody else? Pretty much, work was done. It was a young world daycare. We did research, and some more people, we did research on that. The state came in there. She didn't have to suffer no 2 years. All right. She only had a foot of water come back in the building. And the state pretty much resolved her situation.
Oh, now, where is this?
This is off of 84 when you get into the old, it's right before you get to the Troy Highway, I believe it is, or intersection there. Is it the Troy? After you get to the Troy, yeah, after. Is after or before? It's after, okay, after. Yeah, I get those intersections mixed up. We went and took pictures and we submitted all of that to the state. We submitted and showed them what they were doing. Is it different? You take care of this white lady, but you won't take care of the black folks just right up the road on 84. We all, matter of fact, we all on the right side of 84. But she didn't have nearly what we were getting, you know, and they pretty much gave her, they made her whole. They gave her whatever, pretty much what she wanted. And then she kept her land. Now watch this. With us in Shiloh, they put restriction covenants on our property. But with her, there was no restricted covenant on her property. I went to the courthouse and got the documents.
Do we have those documents?
Yes, sir.
We have the case study that you was talking about, the lady and the daycare?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. With Young World Daycare. I signed that. I can read.
No, we have Stephen, probably,
Yeah.
I just haven't read all that.
And so we saw all that stuff out. And
So the state's response when you said that, what was their response back to you? Written.
Well, they didn't give me no written. What they are doing is they're not corresponding with us, but they're corresponding with Washington D.C. because there is a federal investigation that is going on as we don't speak. It's supposed to end. They said it was going to end after the 4th of July. Once they get the report from the hydraulic engineer that came here, because that's what I believe it was a week ago, they called me and took me into a Zoom call for 45 minutes, stating that I created it and he equipped it. And so I told him this is a bunch of BS. You know, I don't know what you're talking about. What you're talking about, I ain't create nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just because I wanted to put a restaurant on my property, you know what I'm saying? It took it from a residential to commercial, it locked your hands. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I ain't do nothing. And that's what they were referring to. In so many words, they were telling me, oh, you should have never done that, you know? And they upset about it. So, I mean, hey, I got to do what I got to do to, you know, to save what we have and take care of our family.
So the investigation, that's the FHWA, Federal Highway?
Yes, sir.
And that's in the Office of Civil Rights?
Yes, sir.
So what kind of communications have you had with FHWA in terms of written report out or any type of correspondence?
Well, they told us that we have to do Privacy Act. We have to go through the Privacy Act just to get the report going. That's what they said. They sent me an email and told me you got to go through this right here before. I said, I want it from you. I want you to send it to me.
You mean go through the
freedom of
FOIA documents
yes,
and all of that?
Yes, sir. They said you got to go through all of that just to get the report. They got a report, they say, but they will not close it until the hydraulic engineer gives them their report. Now, what Jimmy Jones and all of them said, they said they heard him. The hydraulic engineer, they said they heard him. He told them that there was fractions, there were problems that they saw, and that they was going to put a flume in there and everything and correct the problem. But
that's hearsay.
That's hearsay.
That's hearsay. So you don't have anything in
We
writing.
don't have nothing.
You've been told that the report will be finished 4th of July and after the 4th of July.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, 5 years from now is after the 4th of July.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know me, I'm a call. When you tell me no, that means yes. I'm gonna keep calling. I don't think they like that, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna call them again this week.
Okay, so that's the investigation that's at Federal Highways. The Office of Civil Rights is still pending in terms of the report.
Yes, sir. Definitely. So we did go by Sister Flo, Mother Flo's house. We looked at it, and actually on the side of the house, you can see the wall up. Yeah. And it had created holes around the house. I mean, and then we went to Sister Elder Jenny. We went to the ditch, the gully. We showed them the gullies out there, and they said Marty came out there when Diane, I believe Diane is on property. He thought Diane owned the property where the gully was. He had paperwork stating that they'll get ready to get some federal dollars to try to come in and fix the gully. But when he found out that she was not the owner of the property, he tried to nitpick, he tried to pull it back, but it was too late. I said, thank you, Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't know anything about that. You know what I'm saying? So less than 10 years, just like Superintendent Stark said, less than 10 years, there will not be a county road 502. Because it is threatened, that gully is threatened, and some of your front part of your yard, you won't even have it within less than 10 years because that wash is real strong. I mean, it's happening quick. And I think it was like, what, 30 feet, Dr. Roberts, probably 30?
It's a 25, 30 feet drop.
Yeah, so we did go by there and look at the property, Elder Jenny, as well. Hey, Elder Jenny wants to say something.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mother, state your name and your property and everything.
Okay, I'm Jenny Fleming. Our address is Route 4, Box 130B, Elba, Alabama. The gully is the situation that I was speaking to you about yesterday, and I want you all to know that I appreciate you eyeballing it. Thank you, doctor. I appreciate that, you and your team. My family has been crippled for years. I tell you, I was just devastated in 1987 when my mother couldn't get anyone out there from the county to take a look at what was going on, to put signs up to prevent the dumping, and the erosion kept happening, eating away at our land. And so I'm speaking on behalf of my sister, Barbara Diane Fleming. Her name is on the deed. And Amy and Leslie Fleming are our parents.
So would you say that the problems that's occurring in on your property has been different after the road came in as before it was built?
It was much different, yes, sir. The access to my family's little tract of land to lead out to the house, all of that was blocked. It was devastating. We couldn't get them to pave the road or anything out there, mud. I know my mother requested getting a dump of the, I guess you call those little white pieces of rock, you know, to prevent the erosion. We tried asking for every area because we had studied about the steps you should take when something is eroding, but no one came to our assistance.
So who did you contact for to try to get help in terms of government?
My sister she went down to the county office in Elba department, the road department, because they would always send us back to the engineer, no matter what you had to require.
Was all of the responses that were given, were they all verbal, or were there any thing in writing that you got?
I have nothing in writing because I live in Dothan, and I'm reporting this to you via my sister who lives in Chicago. So anything that she has in writing, she has with her. Pastor Tim might have something that she left with him. I'm not sure.
And this is heir property that was passed down to you, and you want to keep that in the family, right?
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Do you feel that you and your family is being treated differently?
Yes, we do.
Than others because of your race?
Absolutely, sir. I feel we've been discriminated against as a result of being a landowner. It's basically taxation without representation. If we don't pay our taxes, we have people on our heels. And we make a request for the upkeep of our property. It's a theft. It's like they're trying to steal what my parents worked hard to maintain.
So do you feel that somehow that non-response, a slow response, is a way of trying to push you out, your family out?
Yes, sir. We feel absolutely. They want to take possession of it for themselves.
Do you have anything else to add or summarize your feelings about having your property, your inheritance threatened?
Yes, I do, sir. My mother, my father worked their fingers to the bone to have something to leave to their children and grandchildren. That is the inheritance that we should have. We can't pass it down from one generation to the other without receiving proper care from the people who get paid taxes to upkeep it. So our legacy has been destroyed and it's deteriorating before our very eyes. Our children walk out and look at it and they weep. It's like a ghost town out there. The land was so beautiful and flourishing. All the different vegetables and fruit would just grow out there, pecan trees. Everything was beautiful. And then suddenly, all of this excavation starts. Those big trucks and things come through there, going to the backside of the property and making a mess, dumping garbage behind my parents' house. There were so many instances where we would have a headache or something and not even know what happened because the well was under the ground. We used pump water, not city. So all that disease crap came into the family. And that was way back, and it started in 1970 because my parents lived there while I was away, but it's just been ongoing. And not one instance have they come out to offer a hand to assist. Thank you all so much. This is a case of discrimination. I know it has been said that people in Alabama are afraid to speak up. That is not the case with this family. We're all related in Shiloh. It is a family affair. We've always had each other's back. We pray together, we weep together, and we work together. We have missionaries. We have children who are becoming doctors out there, super football players out there. We have some good seed. My son is an active duty lieutenant colonel. We are not someone who's just going to grow up and dig a ditch or stand on the corner and sell drugs. We're not that typical community. And that is another reason we've been targeted. They know the statistics of our children becoming great. And that is a racial attack. And yes, I apologize about the passion, but we've been enduring this for years, Dr. Bullard. And I tell you, normally my conversation is not this fiery, but I have had it. And somebody opened the door and you walked through to help Tim. And that's the only reason this issue became valuable to the public.
Thank you. I love your fire.
You, sir. Thank you,
I love your fire.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Elder Jenny Clemens.
Thank you.
Man, she said a lot. The water level here for the well, when they was digging shallow, they said you could dig 10 feet and you could have well water. When they dug on my property for the restaurant, they told me the water level was like 10 feet, 10 to 11 feet. And they said it was rich soil, y'all. Nowhere else in the area. When they told me that, I said, wow, there's something here that they want in Shiloh. Because I had to do perk tests. We paid $5,000 just for that to take place. Everybody in Shiloh will never have to, in that area where we live, you will never have to get a perk test. So, yeah, come on.
Hello, Dr. Bullard. My name is Aretha Wright. I live at 14578 Highway 84. I've been here since March 26, 2016. And when I first moved here, well, before I actually bought my property, I met with the state 4 times. And they told me that I wouldn't have any issues. you know, because I wasn't gonna buy something that there was gonna be some issues when the highway came through. It was flat land, there was no hills, I mean, it was just a dirt road, basically, that we had to turn on to get to my property. Me and Tim are neighbors. He's on one side of his restaurant, I'm on the other side. August 1st, 2019, I was coming home from revival. Came home, parked my car in my garage, me and my daughter stepped out of the car into mud. Went into my side door, came into my kitchen, water. Went and looked in my living room, water. My first bedroom, water. And the next morning, when I saw them out there working, I went to them directly and I said, hey, we got a problem. My house has been flooded. And they contacted the construction guy. He came to the house and he wanted to offer me $30,000 to buy my house. I'm sorry. And he told me, because at the time I had carpet, he told me that he could pull up the carpet and let it dry and put it back in my house. Well, I had to contact ServPro. They came in, they tested everything. Water was everywhere. Down my hall, I mean, it was everywhere. To the point of where I had to pull up my carpet in the living room, my floors in the kitchen, my floors in the first bedroom. So I know not one person is, you know, more damaged or whatever, but I had a lot of damage because I was out of my house for 9 months because I didn't know if it was mold in there. You know, I got 2 kids, single parent, so it was very difficult having to go through this and deal with this. And then again, September 16, 2020, water again, living room. But this time, okay, no carpet. I had to pay someone to put in flooring. I went with waterproof flooring so that I wouldn't have to go back again, pay someone to take up my floors again. So this is not something that is a joke. This is not something that is funny. This is not something that is made up. This is our lives. And do I think that the state or the county cares? No. They could care less. They could care less about any of us. And they only elevated the highway when it came to Charlotte. Everywhere else, it's not elevated. And then it starts to go down the more you get to New Broad. That area is the only area where there's elevation. And he also, I'm gonna back up with the construction guy. When they tried to slant my driveway, they made it worse. So when it rains, water comes down my driveway and it sits at my garage. Water still is getting in my garage. So this is ongoing. I had to spend money to get gutters so that the water, I had to try to stop something at some point. The water was running down my house and it was also running down. So it was just coming both ways. And even with the back of my house, with Mr. Willie, once it fills up back there, it just flows over into his property. It's like a lake every time it rains, and it could rain an hour. It is still a lake behind my house. And it is just ongoing. Ongoing.
So when you talk to the engineer, this is, or was it a state person or was it a contractor?
It was the project manager first.
Okay.
That I spoke with. And he called the contractor. And the project manager actually assured me that they would correct the situation, but it never happened. That's when he offered me $30 to buy my house. And I was like, sir, that would not put a dent in what I owe on my home.
So to date, you mentioned August 2019 and September 2020. To date, have you received any kind of correspondences from the state or regarding the flooding in your home?
No. They asked if I had flood insurance, and I told them I'm not required to have flood insurance because any insurance company knows the flood zone areas. And I'm not required. And that was one of the first things that he says, well, your insurance will cover it. Well, you don't know what type of insurance I have. You can't say that it will cover it.
When you say the water coming in, have you actually seen the water coming towards your property?
Yes. I mean, all the time. Every time it rains, it comes. I mean, there's like a puddle again at my driveway that runs to my front door.
And it's coming from
It comes down the hill,
from
down the driveway, really, because that's asphalt. I mean, water runs, so it's gonna run.
So when you say your backyard is a lake, so literally your backyard fills up, and we visited your backyard, and then there's a mound, and when it fills up, is it Mr. Horst said that this back, it flows over that little mound, and then comes in.
It flows down to his property.
So when you were told and assured that this would be safe, no problems when you bought the house, who told you that? Was that the real estate agent, or was that?
That was Pat Henderson, the county. He's the county engineer.
No, he's the state. He's the district, southeast district of DOT here in Coleman County, Pat Henderson.
Okay, we can get, do we have that information from him? I mean, on him in terms of his position?
I think we have a document.
Okay, yeah, because what you're saying is that this was a verbal. But you don't have anything in writing, right, that says. Okay. Was anybody present when he told you that besides yourself?
My real estate agent was.
He was there.
She was there.
She was there.
She's white, so. Oh, yeah, she was there as well.
Okay.
Is there a document in the good things?
Not a document.
Okay, not a document, but yeah.
They asked us.
Yeah.
Okay, so in buying your house and settling in, you were under the impression that this road coming in would not affect your acquiring your American dream, your house.
That's what was told to me, but in actuality, that is not what happened.
So this has not been a dream,
It's been a nightmare. Even when they were doing the construction, when they first started, they put, cause it was so much red dirt. I had to get plastic, rugs, because when people came to my house, they were tracking in red mud. They even put gravel down. I got stuck in my vehicle. I couldn't get out, because of the rain, and thinking that they put the gravel there, that would be a way for us to drive through, but it's just been problem after problem.
So how do you feel about, how did you feel when you closed the deal on your house and moved in? Those feelings, and how do you feel now after this road's been?
I mean, when you buy your first home, you're excited, you're ecstatic, you work so hard for it, so yeah. I mean, I was very excited, my kids were able to have their own room, so that was a big accomplishment for me, because I had worked so hard to get that, and to see what it is now, it's a big disappointment. I mean, I'm not rich, but I mean, I put money into my house to try to keep it up, and I can't even make additions to it or put a fence up, because if I put a fence up, water is gonna eat the wood, and wood is expensive.
Did you do any activities in your backyard?
Yes.
Like what?
Well, my son is actually an adult there, and when he came home, we had a celebration. We do cookouts, we do all of that. We have family gatherings there. I mean, my house is the house where people come for Thanksgiving and Mother's Day, Easter, things of that nature. We're a family that loves to get together, and usually it's at my house. And when you can't park, or you can't step out your car without stepping in puddles, I mean, it's difficult.
So the flooding of the backyard has changed the way your family interact.
Yeah. Can't park right there and you get stuck.
So it's changed your whole outlook in terms of being able to bring your family together.
Yeah. 100%.
Is there anything else you'd like to summarize and say?
That's enough. I mean,
Yes, a lot. Thank you.
It makes you mad. Amen. Every time we talk about it, we get frustrated. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, along with the mental stress and the physical stress.
Dr. Bullock, let me say this about Shiloh. Let me say this about Shiloh. Before the flood, the road came in and flooded, this is probably one of the best places in Coffee County to be. It's we really don't have crime. The people love each other, and it would be an excellent place. But now, because of the flooding, everyone, like the young lady, Miss Wright just finished saying, you're afraid to make additions to your home. You're afraid to renovate. You're afraid to do anything because of the flooding. So this is not a area that's thrown away. These are citizens. They're law-abiding citizens. I think that was Miss Fleming that spoke to the fact that these are people that pay their taxes. They do the right thing, but no one is coming to the rescue of these people. And one thing I would like you to also to address, like the brother did, is like supplemental claims. Like we had some hail damage in Elba. We had to take our vehicle to the shop, and there were some things that we had told them about the adjuster, did not have in. And they told us, they said, well, look, don't worry about that. Once we get started, we'll file a supplemental claim. And sometimes, the highway department is very good about coming in and trying to give you, income or, a settlement. Then people feel that, hey, I can't get something done about this because I have a settlement agreement. But there's also a supplemental claim that could be done, and I would like for you to kind of elaborate on that after the testimonies. But I'm so proud of the citizens that came forward to give personal testimonies of nightmare. We are not Elm Street, but it's most definitely been a nightmare for the citizens. So we thank you. I just wanted to say that about the citizens of Shiloh. This is a very loving community. And the only problem that's really having now is flooding issue.
Thank you, Doc. Wow. Anybody else?
Come on up.
My name is Paige Jones, and I'm born and raised in Charlotte. I won't tell you the date of birth. So, I'm just joking. So I just wanted to sort of reiterate what everyone else has said, and I also wanted to say about Ms. Wright. I was there when the state representative came to her house and actually marked the right of way. You remember that? And assured her that the road would be coming just, where he had marked and indicated, and that she wouldn't get any damage. And after that, after her house flooded, she pursued ADM. They told her that they couldn't do anything because they said there are too many contractors. The ALDOT is involved, and we just don't know who to blame. So she went on to reach out to several agencies in Alabama. No one could do anything for her. And at that point, we started reaching out to the EPA. After ADM told her that they couldn't do anything. That became a long ordeal because we filed complaints online and went through that process. No one responded. We called numbers. Finally, a lady responded from EPA. She may have been in Washington, D.C. I think so. And she seemed like she was trying to help us, but then after probably weeks, she got back to us and said there was nothing she could do. So we persisted with EPA, we filed more complaints, and finally, somebody in Region 4 in Atlanta got back to us. EPA. And she was very helpful. At that point, she started talking to Aretha and Timothy, and she told us that she was going to be working with the state. And she also mentioned that she was going to be bringing in the Corps of Engineers. Next thing we know, probably after a month or so of her being on the case, we got an email. They received an email from her saying that she was no longer on the case. The case had been transferred from her office to the Stormwater Division of the EPA. We followed up with the Stormwater Division. There were two individuals there. They told Ms. Wright that there was nothing they could do. Then we followed up with them again and asked them, why is there nothing you can do? They said, you just need to go to your representatives, your congressional representatives. And that was the end of that. So then at the same time, we had been trying to get in contact with DOT, the Office of Civil Rights. That probably took a year and a half, 2 years or something for them to actually come. That was after we reached out to them, and we didn't get a response. Emailed again, no response. Called, left voicemails, no response. Then
It's FHWA in
Yes.
DC or the
Yes.
regional office in Atlanta.
This is the Office of Civil Rights in DC. Yes. So, we got no response. At that point, we looked up the organizational chart online. Talked to the director of the Office of Civil Rights. She was very responsive to us, referred us to the state, to the federal representative in the state of Alabama. He then emailed us and told us there was nothing he could do.
So we have those emails.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So then we contacted the director of the Office of Civil Rights again and told her, he said, the person you referred us to said there's nothing you can do. That's when she put someone else on the case, Eric, I think. And he said, he talked to us, he was responsive for a while, then he went on leave. He said he went on paternal leave. And so then Kevin took over. And so so probably about 2 months ago when they came to visit, they walked over Shiloh with us. And at that point, they went back with, Timothy mentioned they went back with their hydraulic engineers, and we're waiting on a response from them. So this has been a long ordeal, and we've been reaching out to so many different people. I didn't name everybody that we had contacted, but it's been a very, very slow process, and it's not because we haven't tried and made phone calls and written letters. At one point, we started mailing physical letters to people because they weren't responding to the emails and they weren't responding to our voicemails.
So right now you at FHWA, the status is you're waiting for their after July 4th
After July
report.
4th.
So you've been with FHWA, you've had 3 people working on this, different sets of people?
Yes, well, three people and their boss, came to visit, yes.
And for EPA, you had 2 people, one person that worked on it and was making progress, and then it was transferred to the stormwater division.
Yes,
And they said there is nothing they can do.
yes,
And we have those documents.
yes.
Yes, sir.
So there's been no contact or with the Office of Civil Rights, U.S. Justice Department, DOJ.
No.
So getting back to having a report after 4th of July, that was a verbal, or was that a verbal?
It was
We'll get back,
Zoom.
or was there something in writing that says that they will get back?
They didn't get it, it was on Zoom, so it was recorded, we didn't get it right, I didn't get it,
You got the Zoom recording?
I didn't, but he recorded it.
Oh, you recorded?
Yes, sir.
So in terms of the slow response or the no response, why do you think this is happening to Shiloh?
Because it's a black community.
Uh, do you feel that this is a form of discrimination?
Yes, the Federal Highway Administration has acknowledged that it's a form of discrimination. That's why they took up the case.
Okay, do you feel that some of the actions that's been taken could have the effect of pushing you or your neighbors out of the neighborhood?
Yes, I do feel that way. Just because of the erosion, and the water damage, and not to mention the emotional toll that it takes on people having to continually deal with this. I personally hear Aretha and Tim talking about, looking at the weather forecast. And they all say to each other, it's gonna rain, and I don't know what's gonna happen today. And so every time it rains, they're anxious, they're nervous. Nobody wants to live like that.
So you're talking mental health.
Mental health, mental distress.
Is there anything you'd like to summarize and what you'd like to see happen?
I think I'm most concerned about, obviously Tim and Aretha and Mr. William incurred a lot of damage. But also, as we talked about earlier, there's so many elderly people in our community. And we're able to at least try to bring people in and have some sort of voice. Even though we're met with a lot of resistance, they don't have a voice except for the things that someone else can say for them or speak for them. And so that concerns me as much or more than anything else.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Wood, I would get calls when the storm, get the call. She said, hi, look.
Now you're upcoming weather forecast.
Yeah, right. Better get out there and record. Take pictures. Man, it was crazy, man.
So you have to laugh, keep from crying.
There you go. It's crazy. We've been through so much.
Is there someone else?
I think that's
That's it.
everybody. Want to say something?
I think. Okay, let me just, if you want, let me just say, the testimony that was given is recorded. We got notes, and the process of that we'll follow is that we will take this information back with us to Houston, and we'll pull out the major highlights, look at the stories the testimony that appears to be converging, consistent. It seems that people are experiencing some of the same circumstances and feelings. And what we will match that up with the tours that we've done along the way in terms of the homes and what we've seen in terms of the water rushing through and water ponding, and look at the major bullets, things that are just coming together. I had to ask obvious questions, but I had to get that on the record to say that these are the residents who are saying this. And we will put it together, and then we will have a summary. We're not talking no big long book report, but it'll be something that will be clear, to the point. And what we will do is also we will reach out to some of our allies, friends, experts to see where there are buckets that we could put the different pieces in terms of what you're talking about. Some of the issues deal with the county. Some of them deal with federal highways. Some of them, it deals with the damage to your homes. And if it is a form of discrimination, that's a fair housing issue. That's the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And if it's a issue where it is dealing with civil rights, that's a U.S. Justice Department issue, the Office of Civil Rights. In Washington, not the federal highway civil rights. There are two different strategies that could be taken to try to get some relief. And we're going to explore all of those areas. We're not going to make any moves until we come back to you to tell what we found and where are some of the best places to go in terms of trying to get some support. We have lots of information that's been sent to us already. We've got to go through those. There's also trying to identify the individuals in these big agencies that are hard to get to, and they'll take you to 10 different people until you can get the right place. So we're going to try to get to the right place quickly and not be sent to 5 different offices and then they send you back there. We're not going to be playing ping pong with these folks. We're going to try to get to them quick, because I know you don't have a lot of time. You want this get into the system quickly so that we can get this resolved as quickly as we can. That's the plan. And where there are examples of cases where there may be additional issues to deal with, circumstances that people may want to explore. Lawsuits are great, but lawsuits are not always the answer. But if it calls for legal advice and legal action be taken in terms of filing Title VI complaints, or which is a discrimination complaint, or a fair housing complaint with HUD. I know lots of good lawyers, and these are not jacklegs. These are good lawyers that have good results and they have resources. And I'm talking about we can get them at the best rate, pro bono, free. But again, so we're talking about, and I'm going to reach out to the NAACP in Baltimore, Dirk Johnson, and Ben Jealous, who used to be over the NAACP, is now over the Sierra Club. I'm going to be reaching out to some other legal groups that do legal work in the South, and some of our other legal folks who work on this stuff. We're gonna get some interns to help work on this with us from our HBCU consortium that I co-direct at TSU. So there are things that we're doing behind the scenes while we are getting things in place to see how we're gonna act and respond. Which means that I want you to stay vigilant, stay inspired, and stay strong. And don't take no for an answer. Because some people are put in position to tell you no. That's their job, is to say, no, you can't do that. No, we can't do that. No. So we're gonna work as fast as we can to get this moving. And we are not afraid of reaching out to the press to let the world know this has to get bigger than Alabama. You understand what I'm saying? If it was left up to Alabama, they would keep a lid on it, which they're trying to do, it appears. We wanted to go outside of the state and reach the highest level, whether it's in the media, the highest level when it comes to government. We're talking tax money, your tax money, help build that road. To flood you out. And so we're gonna expose all of that whenever we can, and so that's what we're gonna do. So we're not talking Band-Aids on cancer. That's right. We're talking real solutions, not false solutions. So that's the plan, and my team, we don't play. We work hard. But again, we're serious about this work. And this is what we do. You know, this is not just a job. This is like a mission. Passion. We fight for justice, and we fight harder. We'll fight hard on this one because this is my hometown. You understand what I'm saying? What kind of environmental justice leader would I be? Father of environmental justice, I wouldn't come back home and fight harder. You understand what I'm saying? So we're gonna fight hard on this. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. I know you're weather forecasters now because this is anxiety. This is stressful.
That's right.
I know about that. You know, I live in Houston and I work with folks who lived through, survived Katrina, and those little kids who had to be rescued and off of rooftops and whatever. When it rains, even just small rain, you get anxious. Yes, I know that is not healthy. That is not. That's not normal. So we want to get you back to your normal way of living and socializing and having barbecues in your backyard and all kinds of stuff that we do. I know Black people. Our homes is when we bring folks together. That's supposed to be fun. You can't have any fun stomping in mud. So we want to get you back to that. And as I said, I made a promise to Pastor Williams that we will work on this hard, and we will. And I want to thank you. That's all I have to say. And I don't want to, stress this out. I'm a college professor. You know, professors like to talk. I won't say ministers like to talk, but
Dr. Bullock, that's why they bought me that big old clock back there. So you can see it.
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you, and I'll turn it back over to.
Once again, Dr. Bullock, thank you all for coming. Spending 2 days in Shiloh, God's country. Thank you and your team. And it has been a blessing and honor just to be able to work along with you all and help our community. So it's a blessing. So we're not going to blow time, y'all. I'm tired. We've been in the sun 2 days. Boy, look at you. It has been rough, but it's a blessing.
So I'm gonna take another day of work.
I tell you, boy. All right, y'all, we're gonna pray and we're gonna get out of here. Father, I thank you for your goodness, thank you for your mercy. Lord, we just thank you for what you're doing in the lives of your people and even in our community. God, we just want to tell you thank you, God. Lord, that greater is coming, God. And Lord, we just thank you for help, God. We praise you now. We thank you, God, for allowing our cry to be heard, oh God. And God, we just bless you now. We praise you, God. Thank you for Superintendent Starks opening up the doors and running along with us. God, we just want to say thank you now, oh God. Lord, we ask that you continue to bless this ministry, bless this house, bless your people, continue to bless our community like never before. And God, as we leave from this place, but not from your presence, we ask that you be with us and go with us and keep us, oh God. And Lord, we thank you now. It is in your name we pray. Thank God. Amen. Thank you all.